Kia ora everyone, my name's Zach, I love rugby. Welcome back to Hakatime Rugby. Guys, game 1 of the Rugby World Cup is done and France take this one 27 points to 13. Dominant scoreline in the end, but very much a game of ebbs and flows. I'll give you my thoughts on the game right now, guys, and let's start with the pre-match drama. Sam Cane was ruled out before the whistle even blew. That meant a reshuffling of the back row there, so Tupavai came in at number 6, Dalton Papali slotted over there at number 7 as coverage. So very much a disrupted look to that back row, I thought, from the All Blacks. And Tupavai, I thought, had an average game, struggled to interject himself, didn't really have much of an impact from 6, which is what you're really looking for from your blindside flankers. And generally, it felt like a disrupted back row combination there with those 3 in place. France definitely won the loose forward battle. I thought that was a big reason why they won that game. They're able to control the ball a lot more, able to win turnovers quite significantly. A number of turnovers won there by the French. That went a long way to the winning of the game. But the game started off in humid, hot conditions. That certainly played a result, and we saw the interjection of these water breaks as well throughout the game. Look, it's an interesting setup for this World Cup in that it is the middle of summer, or certainly in the hotter period of the year. It is a 9-week tournament, so you can expect that the heat will play a major part in the early part of this tournament. But as we progress over a 9-week period, we probably see a reduction in the impact of the heat overall and the impact on the players. I mean, when the match kicked off, most of the All Blacks in particular were just dripping with sweat. Obviously, the warm-up taking a lot of energy out, and that heat really playing a factor as well. The occasion itself, though, unbelievable. Stadium packed, the French fans full of voice, and just a great theatre for what we know was going to be just a huge occasion, given this is the first match of the Rugby World Cup. Now, when it got underway, big drama. The All Blacks score first within 90 seconds. Great little interchange there between Anton Leonard-Brown and Reiko Ioane to find the gap, and then finished off by Mark Talia there, who had a mixed game. I mean, he did dot down for 2 tries, but he found himself isolated a lot. And as I mentioned, the loose forwards from the French side certainly had the more dominant positions there, were able to win the ball back, where Talia was isolated a number of times. But the All Blacks felt like they had the better of the first half. Certainly didn't reflect so on the scoreboard. I think it was 9-8 at halftime. The French just able to keep scoreboard pressure on ticking over, because shortly after that Mark Talia try, unconverted, 5 points up All Blacks, Ramos was able to slot a penalty to keep it close. So you look at that immediate hit, punch, counter punch from the French. That's the hallmark of a good team, when we see teams that are able to strike back quickly when points are scored and also keep that scoreboard pressure on. That's something that France do really, really well. But the All Blacks felt like they had the better of the first half. A number of those opportunities for France came off scrum penalties. Now, I was watching the scrum penalties just thinking, the way that De Groot was going down, and he went down twice, which resulted in 6 points for France off the boot of Ramos. He also dropped a ball in attack. I'll get to that in a bit, because there were a lot of missed opportunities there for the All Blacks, but it just looked like he in particular was really suffering under fatigue, under the occasion probably, and certainly under the heat. So we'll have to keep an eye on this and how other teams play and adapt, but it looked like a number of those penalties and errors were caused specifically by fatigue and specifically by the heat, I thought. So, very interesting thing. But the All Blacks in the first half, they managed to win territory, certainly had a possession advantage, but just unable to complete a number of their opportunities. Scott Barrett dropped the ball over the line. Ethan de Groot, as I mentioned, in an attacking period, drops the ball. A number of errors. And I thought the French defence was relatively good in that they were putting pressure on the All Blacks and probably forced a number of those errors. But certainly the All Blacks would want an improved error rate there for sure. Go into the second half, and first 10 minutes again, All Blacks score first. They look the dominant there in their first period of the second half. However, the pass to Mark Talia. Now, that's becoming quite a weapon that the All Blacks are using against teams that are using that rush defense. And it's more of a harbour bridge style pass, which is a floating pass over the rushing defense into space Normally not forward. That one was borderline at best, probably drifted slightly forward. But Mark Talia running onto that Harbour Bridge pass, able to get into space and score in the corner there for his second try. So the All Blacks starting to pull away. It looked like 13 points to 9 at that stage. The All Blacks looking the better team, but then dupont took over. Now, a lot was made about the Aaron Smith versus Antoine Dupont battle. I thought Aaron Smith had the better of that battle. He was able to shut him down in certain areas. So a couple of great tackles behind the scrum to really nullify Dupont's impact in terms of his running game. But like we saw against Australia, Dupont finds other ways to dominate and interject himself in the game. So he started kicking the ball very early. He'd received the ball, kicked straight into territory, into All Black space, and started controlling territory and possession that way, putting the All Blacks on the back foot and just keeping them in their own quarter. So I thought it was really well done by Dupont. It always surprises me that, well, it shouldn't surprise me now. He's a great player, and he finds ways to interject himself. If one aspect of his game is shut down, he'll find another way to interject himself to control the game. Let's talk about the the Will Jordan yellow card. So another sign of fatigue, I thought. So ball goes up. Obviously, the Frenchman was in position, had rights to the ball, and Will Jordan coming at pace in a terrible position. A poor, lazy, ineffective challenge, I thought, and put obviously the French defender there in harm's way. So fair yellow card, no need for a red card, which was great. And Will Jordan came back and did a similar thing once he returned after 10 minutes. So it's something that he needs to get out of his game. I mean, in his mind, it was clear that he thought he was challenging fairly for the ball, but he did not have rights to the ball. He was beaten to the spot, and he put an ineffective challenge in the end that put, obviously, his opposition in harm's way. So fair yellow card, something he needs to work out of his game. Now, as we got later in the game, actually one big moment. Richie Mo'unga try saver there on W. Pinot. He's really making a habit of this, of stopping attackers there right on the line, try saving, defense, cover tackles. Richie Mo'unga has really stepped up to be a bit more well-rounded in terms of his game, whether he be playing, controlling the game from fly half, passes, kicks, cross-field kick pass, or now in defense. So great to see that evolution of his game, and just an amazing moment for him. Obviously attacking the ball in defense and then getting the result with Pinot dropping the ball there. But from that moment onwards, it just felt like France took the game away. So they found a number of breaks there, with Vaca getting a great run up the side there to set up further points, and then obviously getting the bounce of the ball, kicking in behind, just really putting the pressure on the All Blacks. In the end, for mine, it was the French game management and kicking and territory management in that last 30, as well as the loose forward trio that really, really won this game. But both teams, it felt like it was somewhat of a sparring match. It felt like it was a little bit of the calm before the major storm, which is coming in the quarterfinals. And it just felt like both teams were holding something back a little bit. I don't know if you guys thought the same. Let me know what you thought about that. But nonetheless, it's in the books. The All Blacks lose their first ever Rugby World Cup pool match. Another unfortunate record under Fozzie. And it's a real shame, because these are proud records that the All Blacks hold that they're starting to give up. And Fozzie spoke a lot about the quarterfinal being the target for them. So it almost feels like they are willing to give up things early in order to peak for the quarterfinal. I get it from the context of a Rugby World Cup, but as an All Black supporter with significant history behind this team and a proud record to defend in a number of different areas, it's just a little bit disappointing that they're choosing to manage things that way. Anyway, this game sets things up well for the rest of the World Cup. France will obviously go in and top this pool, Pool A. The All Blacks likely will go through into the quarters if they can get that win over Italy. And who they face is yet to be determined, but it's certainly set up and building for the rest of the World Cup, as well as for those quarterfinal battles to come. So let me know what you guys think. I'm going to leave it there now. I'm looking forward to the rest of the games. This is going to be a busy weekend for me, just watching rugby. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, to tell you the truth. So I'll leave it there, guys. Have a good rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of the rugby.